Have you ever been ghosted by a client before? It is so frustrating because you never know why or what you did wrong, and sometimes you just didn't do anything wrong. There are a ton of reasons you might get ghosted that you have absolutely no control over, such as they broke up, someone died or got sick, they just found someone that they liked better for no real discernible reason. They completely forgot. There's so many different options here, but there are a few things that you can control that will help you stop getting ghosted. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 reasons you might be getting ghosted that you can control and how to fix them. Just in case you don't know what being ghosted means, it refers to when you send information to a client, or maybe they reach out, you respond, and then all of a sudden you just never hear from them again. Basically, they're like a ghost. This can be super frustrating because you just never know exactly what you did wrong, if anything. So why does this happen and what can you do about it? The simplest reason people ghost you is because you just didn't follow up. I'm very surprised by how many clients I book just by remembering to follow up a couple times. Yeah, you feel like you're kind of annoying them and it's all you think about. You know, invitations are all I think about, so why aren't they thinking about invitations all day? But that's just not what's going on in their life. So it can take some courage, but if you follow up a couple times, you're often going to close a lot more leads. I would typically follow up after about a week. This can depend on the service you offer. And then again, about a week or two later. And in the second one, I'm just gonna ask a question like, are you still in the market for invitations? Are you still looking at this? Did you book invitations elsewhere? Just let me know. I prefer for them to let me know what happened so that I don't just completely get ghosted and so that I can adjust my processes based on their feedback. This can also depend, like if someone reaches out and needs something in a month, I'm not going to follow up with them in 2 weeks because most likely they have, ship has sailed there because their timeline was so short. Another thing you might do that encourages ghosting is just not giving clear next steps. So someone might look at your portfolio, look at your pricing, think, okay, this is great, and then just kind of leave it hanging because you didn't give them a clear next step. You didn't tell them what the next thing they needed to do to book was. So always give a clear next step. Hey, if you're ready to book, here's how you're going to do that. Hey, if you're ready to move forward, I'm going to send you this questionnaire. Let me know, fill out the contract, submit the proposal, whatever it is that they need to do at that step. Another thing that you might not realize you're doing is just not seeming confident. You want your clients to feel really confident with you and feel like you know what you're doing. I've worked with a lot of other creatives, from planning my wedding to planning other events, social reasons, booking photographers for my family, etc. And I'm constantly surprised by how unprofessional a lot of business owners are. I always think that I have to try really hard to seem confident and professional, but it turns out that just replying to emails and talking about your process as if you've been through it before is 10 steps above most of the people that are out there. So if you just implement a couple of steps to make yourself seem more confident, you're going to book a lot more clients and probably get ghosted less. Some of those steps can be, again, giving clear next steps, walking them through the process confidently. I always say act like you've been there. So don't treat them like they're the only client you've ever had, but just act like you've been there by mentioning other people that you've worked with, past projects, etc., showing examples of your work and talking about money confidently. I know that's a tough one sometimes, but you might just need to practice with other people in your life or practice in the mirror until you get to a point where you're really confident talking about your payment processes, your costs, and everything that comes with working with you. On the note of cost and finances, probably the most popular time to get ghosted is right after you send your pricing. A lot of this you have no control over. Someone's budget is $10,000 less than your pricing. You can't really do anything about that. However, if you know that their budget is kind of within your price range or somewhere in the general ballpark and they end up ghosting you after they see the pricing, then probably what happened is you have a mismatch between the value that you provide and the pricing that you charge. The number doesn't really matter. I've had people who pay me $5 and think that it was too expensive, and I've had people who pay me $10,000 that think they got a really good deal. So no matter what number you're at, you just have to make sure that the value you're providing matches that number. So if you are sending over a quote for $5,000 and the client didn't think that what you were providing matches that value, then they might ghost you. And as far as price goes, you don't really have control over how they view your prices. You don't really have control over what your items cost and what you need to charge, but you do have a lot of control over how you're presenting that value to them. So the value comes from seeming confident It comes from acting like you've been there. It comes from showing your work in the best light. It comes from guiding them through the process and seeming like the expert. And of course, it comes from your portfolio and your past years of expertise and anything that you can show them to show your value. So if you're getting a lot of ghosts when it comes to price, just ask yourself, how can I show a little bit more value? How can I seem a little bit more like the expert? How can I gain confidence? How can I show more valuable work in my portfolio or reframe my portfolio in the best light? And the last reason that you might be getting ghosted is that someone else did it better. And you might say, Laney, if someone else did it better, I have no control over that. Sure, you have no control over their actions. However, you can use what they're doing to change your actions. So you can do a little bit of competitive research, see what your competitors are doing, especially if you figure out who this person ended up booking with. You can look at their website, you can check out their processes. I'm not suggesting you reach out to them as a pretend client because they can always see right through that. But there is a lot of information you can get from how they share their value with the world, how they market, what their website looks like, what their process entails, etc. So every time you know that someone books with a different person, I highly recommend doing some research on them, taking everything that you like from the information that they're providing and then adapting it to your business. And maybe even asking yourself, how can I do things a little bit better than them? How can I provide a little bit more than what they are providing? That way in the future, they're the one who's going to get ghosted because the clients are all going to book with you. So in general, if you want to prevent ghosting from your clients, you want to just get really, really confident in your business and how you guide your clients through that. You want to seem like the expert and make sure that your work and your value matches with the price that you're asking. And then I always recommend doing some competitive research every time you're not booking that client to see what the other person might have done better or why they might have resonated a little bit better with that client. All right, I hope this helped you avoid some ghosting. There's always going to be a little bit of ghosting that you can't control, but we always try to take control of the actions that we do have power over and make sure we're admitting the places where we could use a little bit improvement, because that's how we end up doing better and booking a lot more clients and getting ghosted a lot less often. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will leave some comments. Let me know what you thought of this video, if it was helpful, if there's any other topics I can cover to help you run a more successful creative business.